so trying to figure out which diet is the right diet for you. You hear about keto, you hear about paleo, low carb, carnivore, vegan, you have vegetarianism. So which one is the right one for you? Well, I'm going to talk about all of them today. Just kind of give you a quick summary on all different types. I've done them all. So I kind of have a little bit of insight what I think it is, what it is from my perspective, and then you make a choice which one is the best for you. So a Paleolithic type of eating plan, we heard of the paleo movement probably years ago, and basically the paleo eating plan was vegetables and meats, some nuts and seeds, and no dairy. So going back to the hunter-gatherer days, basically what did our ancestors eat? Well, they ate all the animals that were roaming the earth. They had berries, they had vegetables, any type of seeds or any nuts from trees, basically. So what are the pros and cons of that? Well, I think it's great. There is no dairy. One of the things with paleo is that sometimes people aren't mindful about how much protein they're consuming or how much carbs they're consuming, so they can still eat lots of carbs and they won't lose weight, and they can still have some blood sugar issues. They usually don't use any sweeteners, so we see people do really well with the paleo. Then you've got keto. Keto is somewhat similar to paleo. You eat a lot of animal products, or not, I wouldn't say a lot of animal products. Paleo is usually higher animal products than keto. Keto is more of a high fat, low carb, moderate protein diet. And when we're talking about moderate protein, it really isn't a whole lot, and it's because I work primarily with women. We usually find their sweet spot anywhere from 60 to 80, maybe even 90 grams of protein. So the keto, it's definitely a lot of vegetables, little to no carbohydrates, so that means not a whole lot of fruit. Berries are usually your safer ones, and you want to make sure that you're eating plenty of vegetables, all the low carbs, a lot of the leafy greens, your cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, like kale, like cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and it also permits dairy products. I'm a believer that most people, I like to do a keto that's non-dairy. I've seen that to be the most effective one. And the keto, most people do well with it because you're switching your fuel source from sugar to fat, whereas it's kind of hard to do that with paleo when your carb intake is really high. So I like the keto for that reason. I don't like the keto when you are adding a lot of dairy products, a lot of pork rinds, nothing but bacon, and lots of meats, and a lot of the fats that come from bad fats, hydrogenated fats. So you're going out and you're eating kind of like a dirty keto. You're going to the fast food places and you're basically eating a lot of like meats and some vegetables, but you're not getting in the good quality, high quality. So the third one is, we heard about this a lot years ago, and it's the Atkins or the low carb. So with Atkins, it's similar to keto. The only thing with Atkins, it kind of goes in phases. They have like a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. So you actually start super low carb right away. And it's a lot of protein. It really isn't a whole lot of fat, usually just like a couple, 2 to 4 tablespoons of oil, which really isn't a whole lot of fat, and pretty much no fruit whatsoever. Whereas keto, at least you can have berries, and you can still use like a lot of the artificial sweeteners. They used a lot of sweet and low, the saccharin, so I don't think they're very healthy, a lot of neurotoxins. So, and then they went in phases where you would increase the carbs. So you went from like less than 20, then you would increase another 20 more, and you would increase in different phases. And you would get to the point where you found out how many carbs your body would be able to handle. So the pros and cons about the Atkins it was definitely a very high protein diet, however, and low carb, but their fat wasn't high. So sometimes people would still be hungry, and you can still have what's called gluconeogenesis. And so all that protein, you're still, it's being converted into glucose. So you can still be hungry, you don't become fat adapted. And that's one of the reasons why I really love the keto, is because you're switching fuel sources to be where you're depending on fat, and you have extra fat on your body and you can use it. So let's talk about another one. So that's low carb. Then kind of a break off from the keto is a carnivore diet. The carnivore diet is just all animal products. So we're looking at eggs, we're looking at meats, and there's various types too. There's no fruit, no vegetables, no nuts, no seeds. They're all animal products. So you're even looking at eggs. Some even permit like cheese because of the dairy that it comes from an animal. So that's kind of the newer thing. They're saying, well, this is kind of a Paleolithic and our ancestor did this. Yes, but they didn't do it for 12 months. So I'm going to kind of give you my summary of which one I think is the best one. So that one's a pretty simple one. You just eat meat. Some of the benefits that people have found is they clears up. They do really well with improving digestive function, usually within a 4 to 6 week period. So I would definitely recommend maybe that doing for 4 weeks. I personally would not do it longer than 6 months. I don't think there's anyone really that just ate meat for such a long time. Probably a very small percentage of the worldwide population. Then you have vegetarians. You've got vegans that just eat all just plants, nuts, and seeds, and then you have different types of vegetarians that actually eat grains, and they eat grains and they eat nuts and seeds, and then you have different types from lacto-ovo vegetarians, ovo-vegetarians, and basically some eat fish, some eat meat, or not meat, some will eat fish and eggs, others will eat eggs because you're not harming the animals, it just comes out, so they will eat the eggs, or they'll even eat dairy like cheese and butter because you're not sacrificing or killing the animals, so they're doing it more for ethical reasons. And so one of the bad things I think about a strict vegetarian is you really just have to have your food dialed in, your macros, your protein, your carbohydrates, your fats, and really making sure that you're eating high quality food and you're getting enough nutrients. And most of them have to supplement with some sort of B vitamins, especially if they're not eating animal products. I think it's great if you can do like a vegetarian type diet for maybe cycle that maybe for like a couple weeks. Maybe some people will do it for a month. I've been on that type of diet as well. So it has its place as well for some people. Some of the cancer centers, they just have a pure vegetarian diet for a short period of time. So which diet do I think is the best? I personally like to follow more of an anti-inflammatory eating plan, which is, it's basically a higher to moderate fat Paleolithic type of eating plan, and low carb. And basically it's just fish and chicken and any type of animal products, lots of vegetables, maybe a couple servings of fruit, and a lot of healthy fats, especially like olive oil, avocado oil, and usually some coconut oil. A true anti-inflammatory eating plan omits all of the, all the nightshades. So like we're talking about potatoes, eggplants, like your bell peppers, so you avoid all those. And even in the beginning, you avoid nuts and seeds because they're kind of harsh on the digestive system. Definitely no dairy products, no cheeses, and nothing of that sort, no sweeteners. So you're pretty much just eating real food. I personally think that's the best way to eat, and you can follow a ketogenic plan where you are eating higher, just a higher quality of food and high fat and low carb, but then you can cycle it and say have like a carb refeed for like maybe on a weekend, and if you're like typically around 40 or 50 carbs, you might want to be able to double it or go up to 100. I think that works the best, but you got to find what works for you. All of them may work for you for a short period of time, and you just cycle that out. So I hope that helps. Find what works for you. There is not one that's going to work for you all the time. It's changing. So make sure that you find something that works for you. And what worked for you maybe a year ago may not work for you now. So that's kind of my summary on keto, on paleo, carnivore, low carb or Atkins, and vegetarian. So until the next video, I hope that you enjoyed. See ya.